Hi, welcome to Something Old, Something New, where I'm going to recommend some books. So I'm going to recommend some books today, but before we start, don't forget to hit subscribe and hit the little notification button as well. Okay, so the first book is something old, and where have I put it? And I thought I would recommend this by Shirley Jackson, We Have Always Lived in the Castle. Shirley Jackson is an author that I came across fairly late on. It was only a few years ago, I think. And she's just kind of like if you just look at her photos, she's not the person and this is a terrible thing to say because who knows what somebody who writes these books looks like, but she doesn't look like she's going to be writing really dark, sinister, gothic almost books, but nevertheless that's what she does. And I think this We Have Always Lived in the Castle, I think, was the first book of hers that I read. I mean, at the moment everyone has been talking recently about The Haunting of Hill House, which is also brilliant, but I actually much prefer We Have Always Lived in the Castle. It's actually Jackson's last novel. It tells the story of Mary Cat, who lives in the Blackwood family home with her sister Constance, and they're an odd family. They keep away from the rest of the village and have their own kind of magic rituals that keep them safe, although safe from what, we're not sure. But we do learn fairly on that her sister Constance was acquitted of murdering the rest of the family. And so there's something mysterious going on there. And the whole thing is kind of shaken up when their cousin Charles comes to stay. It's a brilliant book, so spooky and full of different layers and very, very interesting. So for a dark, noirish classic, I would definitely recommend Shirley Jackson's We Have Always Lived in the Castle. And the next book I wanted to recommend is something new, and I thought I would recommend this. It's called Red Corona by Tim Glister, and I feel a bit sorry for this book in a way, really. I first read it, Tim sent it to me. It must be, well, months and months ago now anyway. And I kind of tore through it. It's a spy thriller of the kind of Cold War era. Really interesting, really well written. Lots of twists and turns, which I obviously really like. And I'd kind of forgotten how much I've always liked spy stories, actually. I used to love, like many people, I suppose, James Bond and so on. So I really did tear through this book. It's a great read, very exciting, lots of action and intrigue. And it's such a shame, really, because it kind of was one of those books that I think it was scheduled for release. Well, it should have been out by now, but it kind of got lost in the whole panic around the virus and the pandemic and the lockdown, which meant that lots of books got pushed back into next year. So it's out next year. I'm not sure. I think it may be February, although I'm not certain. But that's something new to look out for. Tim Glister's Red Corona, which I would really, really recommend. And next we're going to go on to something borrowed. And for this section, doing something a little bit different this time around, in that we're going to hear from somebody else. And very lucky, because one of the people that volunteered to give their recommendation is Steve Cavanagh, who you probably know has written some brilliant books, 13, 50/50 and so on, all of which I thoroughly recommend. But now let's hear from Steve.
Hi folks, Steve Cavanagh here. Thanks very much to S.J. Watson for letting me do this. This is about books. I think everyone should read. Just to let you know, I've read a couple of great new books that'll be out next year. One is Fragile from Sarah Hilary, and the other one is The Last Thing to Burn by Will Dean, which I'm enjoying right now. But I thought I would tell you very briefly about books I think you should read, and this is one of them. I don't know if that's reversed or not. I think everyone should read the Rumpole of the Bailey series by John Mortimer QC, the late John Mortimer QC. Rumpole is the original social justice warrior in the days when being a social justice warrior wasn't a bad thing. I wrote a little essay about Rumpole, which I put in the back of my latest book, 50/50, for the Richard and Judy Book Club. And I just think these books are utter joy. You'll pick up a book like Rumpole's Last Case or Rumpole a la carte. Rumpole of the Bailey is the original collection. And these are very small books. They're a collection of essays. There's about 7 or 8 stories in each. And they are brilliantly written. They're funny. They're heartwarming. And I just think they just bring me huge amounts of joy. If you're unsure, go onto YouTube, watch a little trailer of Rumpole of the Bailey, which was so brilliantly realised by Leo McKern for ITV. And yeah, so that's my little recommendation. A little bit of joy in your heart, Rumpole.
Okay, thanks for that, Steve. And if you would like to recommend a book in the next video, just drop me a line on Twitter or through my mailing list. Okay, for the last section, which is something blue, I'm actually getting a little bit ahead of myself again, because this is another book that I was intending to talk about when it comes out, which is next year. Again, 2021. Let me see if I can find out when. It's called The Inverts, and it's by the brilliantly named Crystal Jeans. Don't mean that to sound patronising. I think it actually is her name, but it is a great name. This is a wonderful book. I really loved it, and the reason I put it in the something blue section is because it's a little bit filthy in the best possible way. It's set in the 20s, although it spans everything from the 20s up to the 90s. Oh, I've just seen the date when it's out, the 1st of April 2021. So yeah, it's predominantly set in the 20s and 30s. It's about Bettina and Bart, who are a couple who have grown up together, best friends, and it's not giving too much away to say that fairly early on they both realise that they're attracted to the same sex. It's really the story of their life as they get married and continue to have affairs with the people that they love. And it's really, I found it quite inspiring in many ways, because it's a story of the different, for me anyway, it's a story of the different forms that love can take. These two people clearly love each other, although in their case it's not a sexual love. But it's a wonderful read, really brilliantly written again, and lots of fun and a little bit filthy. So that's my recommendation for the Something Blue, which is The Inverts by Crystal Jeans. And if you want to pre-order or buy any of the books that I talk about today, I am going to leave a link down below, and also it might be appearing on the screen if I can figure out how to do that, for the bookshop that I have sort of launched, although it's kind of cheating a little bit. But I've got some shelves on bookshop.org, which is a new online bookseller which helps independent bookstores. So click the link, order the books. I hope you like them, and leave me any comments you have below. Okay, thanks. Bye bye.